asked all the time, what's it like being a Pilates instructor? How much do you get paid? Is it worth it? How does it work, etc. So today we're going to talk about it. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Natalia, a certified Pilates instructor based in the United Kingdom. I thought today would be a really interesting video for those of you that are thinking about becoming a Pilates instructor, or if there's anyone out there that has recently qualified and is just wondering how does it work in terms of financials. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so we're going to start with what is the rate of pay. Now, just bear in mind that this is in the United Kingdom. Okay, so I'm based in England, so this might be completely different if you live in another country. So in the UK, you can join a gym or you can join a studio. There's quite a lot of Pilates studios. Pretty much every large town or every city has quite a few studios, and the rate of pay sort of depends. I would say that gyms pay slightly less, especially like that are part of a big chain. They would pay perhaps £30 an hour. A studio would pay from £30 to £45 an hour, maybe 50 if you're lucky, but that's quite rare. I'd say you have to be quite a specialist. You might have to do something like rehab Pilates or Pilates mixed with physio or something like that to get that £50 per hour. But in general, it's from £30 if you're working in a gym up to £40 if you're working in a studio. So that's pretty good. If you, let's say you taught 6 classes a day, 6 times £40 is £240 a day, times that by 5. So yeah, that's pretty good, £1,200 a week, times that by 45, that's £54,000 a year. I'm timesing that by 45 because obviously you have to factor in holidays, Christmas, maybe sickness. Most of us are gonna get ill at some point in the year, unless you're very lucky. Now that is a pretty good figure. I would say that's quite rare. It's quite difficult to join a studio and have 6 hours every single day, Monday to Friday at a studio. If you're lucky, you can get that. But yeah, that's the rate of pay if you're working in a studio or in a gym. Now, another thing that's really popular in the United Kingdom, especially if you live somewhere a bit more rural, so if you live in a village or in the suburbs, is to rent a space. So you could rent a village hall, you can rent a studio space, you pay the studio space or the hall an hourly rate, and then you do your own marketing, you find the people yourself, and then you can charge them whatever you want. So you can charge somebody maybe £12 to come to your class, maybe 13, I would say maximum 14 for a mat Pilates class. And then you pay the hourly rate to the studio or the hall, and then you keep the rest of the money. Now, I'd say that's a lot more lucrative because you could make, if you're lucky, you could make £100 in an hour, but you just have to bear in mind that you're obviously having to do all the marketing, you need to find the people. It takes time to find clientele, it takes time to get people to commit to coming to your classes regularly, and it takes time for them to get to know you. So that's a great option. You could make up to £100 per class. And let's say you only did that 5 times a week, £500 a week. You could combine that with a few studio classes, and then you're pretty much making the same. That is a bit more tricky because obviously you need to find people, you need to, like I say, get people used to you as an instructor. It might take time for them to warm to you, but that is a really good way that you could run your business in a way. It is a business, even though you're a freelancer, but you could set yourself up as a limited company and run your Pilates classes that way. I know that's extremely popular here in the UK, and it's quite good because it's flexible. So you can choose the hours that you want to teach. You could do a few times a week, you could do several hours a week. It's really up to you. And that's what's so good about being a Pilates instructor. You can kind of, dot it around your day. You can decide when's the best time for you to teach a class. But bear in mind that you also kind of have to work around the popular time. So when you think people are going to want to come to class, and that's generally going to be in the evenings or early morning, maybe at lunchtime, and weekends, which is maybe a bit annoying for some people, but a lot of Saturday mornings is like prime time. Another thing that you can do is privates, so a one-to-one between you and a client. Now you could do a home visit, so you go to their house, or they could come to your house or your studio space if you're lucky enough to have a big space where you can teach somebody one-to-one. Or you could again hire a space and do it that way if that works. And I would say a private, you could charge about £60 an hour. So that's pretty good as well. That's just the one person, you're meeting up with them and you're having a one-to-one. So that is roughly the rate of pay, how much money you can make. It depends how busy you are, how much you're willing to work, etc. Now let's talk hours. How many hours a week can you do? Well, I think that's a very difficult question to answer really, because it's completely up to you and it depends on your schedule and how much work you can take on. I personally don't know many instructors that work more than 20 hours a week, which sounds amazing. That sounds like a part-time job, but you really do have to think about the fact that it's not just teaching the class. If you're running your classes, you also have to do all the admin, all the finances, the invoicing, the reminding people that they need to pay for, let's say you sell in blocks of sessions, which is what I do. I sell a block of 6 classes, and then once those 6 classes are finished, I then email the client and say, you need to renew your block basically to continue coming to the classes. So that is quite time consuming. So don't think of it as, oh, you only work 20 hours per week and that's it. You've got all your admin on the side, which does take quite a while. Also, if you're running your classes, you have to do marketing, Facebook ads, or just posting on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, etc. And that takes time as well. So I think 20 hours a week is reasonable. Also bear in mind that teaching a class is quite tiring. It's a physically active job. You're demonstrating exercises, tactile cueing and correcting people, and you're walking around, you're really bubbly, you have to be upbeat, you have to bring the energy. So 20 hours a week is sustainable. I don't really know anybody personally that works any more than that or teaches any more hours than 20 a week. The rate of pay in terms of like the hour is quite good compared to a normal job, bearing in mind that you only teach those 20 hours, but you can make quite good money as a Pilates instructor and work less hours than somebody working in an office, but they're more physically demanding, they're tiring, and you're doing all your admin on the side. Now, what are the types of teaching that you can do? So I did talk about that a few minutes ago, where you could just work in a gym or a studio. You don't really have to think much about marketing or running the class. You kind of just turn up, teach the class, and then you go home. You send your invoices at the end of the week or the month, it depends how it works in that studio, and then that's that. You only really have to worry about teaching the class, planning the class, and just remembering all those clients' injuries, if they've got any medical conditions, etc. You can run your own classes. So that's a bit more work intensive. You need to do your admin, you need to find the people, you need to get them to sign enrollment forms, you need to send invoices, you need to find good studio spaces. Sometimes you need to maybe provide equipment, it depends, or you can get your clients to bring everything themselves. But I personally think it's quite nice to provide the band or the ball to bring to the class, and they just have to turn up and bring a mat with them. I think that's quite a nice service and quite a nice thing to do. So that's another thing that's really popular here in the UK. It's running your own classes. I see that a lot with people that I've trained with and other Pilates instructors that I know. That's kind of how they run their schedule. Another thing you could do is go online. So maybe you could set up an app or a membership. I know that's really popular at the moment because people have kind of moved more online, haven't they? And it's just a lot easier to stay at home and do a quick home workout before going to work or during your lunch hour. And the sky's the limit with that, really. You can charge, generally you'd have to charge a lower fee, but you could have thousands of people join your online studio or your membership or your app, and then you've got a monthly rolling income, and that is great. I think that is a fantastic way to move if you are a Pilates instructor. But just bear in mind that takes a lot of work. That takes getting used to IT, getting used to filming, maybe you need to get a few editing skills, or maybe you need to learn a bit of editing, etc. But that is another great option. The last way you could gain income as a Pilates instructor, which is very unique, but that is through YouTube. If you're lucky enough to qualify for the YouTube partner program, eventually when you post a video you get paid when an advert plays. So if somebody watches till the end of the advert, you make a little bit of money, but that takes a long time. It doesn't happen for most people, but that is another option if you are a Pilates instructor and trying to find different ways of getting income. So yeah, things to consider. In the UK, you're probably going to be self-employed. So if you've always had a job, you're used to just getting your paycheck at the end of the month, and that's that. Obviously, when you're self-employed, you have to either hire an accountant or do your own tax returns, usually by January. And you could also set yourself up as a limited company and run your Pilates business if you wanted to. That would be quite good if you were running your own classes and you were looking to expand, or maybe you're looking to one day open a studio. That would be pretty good to set yourself up as a limited company. And again, I know instructors that do that with the aim or with the goal of expanding. Maybe they want to have teachers working for them one day, or they want to open a studio, maybe it's a home studio. And yeah, that's another avenue you can go down. I don't believe, or I've personally not come across PAYE, which is the same as just having a job, where you get taxed on your income and then you just receive your paycheck. I don't believe that's a thing unless you work full-time in a studio or in a gym, and maybe you are part of the reception team or part of the admin team, and then you teach classes in the evening or something like that, where you're a full-time employee. But that's not something I've come across very often here in the UK. But that's not to say that that doesn't exist. That could be an option. There's lots of pros and lots of cons to being a Pilates instructor, but this was just a video about finances and how much money you could make in a year, how you set yourself up, are you limited company or just as a freelancer, or perhaps you could find yourself a employment situation where you work in the gym and then you teach on the side and you get your annual salary. But I don't know anyone personally that has done that here in the UK. It might be different in another country. So is it worth it? I think 100% if you work hard. Bear in mind that at the beginning, you're not gonna be super busy. It takes a long time to set yourself up, to get to know studios, for them to trust you, to give you all the work. Once you've done your training, there's always lots of further training for you to do. Then you probably are going to want to learn how to use a reformer and do your equipment training. And once you've done that, it does take a few years, then you should be on that path to those 20 hours a week and around £50,000 a year if you're just working in a studio or running your own classes, or if you set up an online studio or run your own studio in real life, then you can make a lot more money. So that is the end of this video. I hope you found it useful. If you're a Pilates instructor or you're thinking about a Pilates instructor and just seeing how financially that would look for you, then I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't yet, please make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be posting more videos like this in the future where I talk about all things Pilates. I also post loads of workouts. I post 2 a week and have done so for the past year. So if you're looking to get a quick workout in or maybe some inspiration for your classes, then check out all my videos. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you again soon. Bye!